How do we show up for others? How can we be there to support other people who are suffering? And I would just love to hear from both of you about what we can all do to be better family members, better friends, better colleagues, and really support the people we care about in our lives who are struggling.
I think there are so many ways, and I think there is no one like mathematical answer. The first thing is to talk to people, is to know them, is to talk to them, is to share to listen to their stories and share your stories. And I think this is how you realize that you have the same stories and you all have the same feelings and you are there to support each other, to help each other. And I think this is something that makes you feel like you're not the only one, and there are people there who care about you and who support you. So I think talking to people and supporting people is just so important, but and also being, you yourself have to be stronger as well to know that hardships come in everyone's life, and it is in a sense a test for us to show our patience, to show our courage, to show our strength, and to show that we can go through any hurdle in our life. It would take time, we need to be patient, and that one day we will see the sun, things will be okay, things will be better. And I think that's how I thought. Like, if when I remember myself, look back to how I was after the attack, that when I would talk really slowly, I would forget words, I would struggle to remember people's names. My own doctor, like after 1 month, I asked her, like, oh, what's your name? My own friend, school friend, I had been friend with her for months, and then I asked her, like, oh, what's your name? And then, so I had been forgetting things. It was really taking me time to develop my speech and memory, because when the left side of your brain is attacked, it affects your memory. And so it was a hard time when I look back now. But then when I was living that time, when I was living that moment, to me, I just felt normal. I thought I was okay. I felt strong. And I think that's the thing. In whichever situation you are, feel the strongest, feel the bravest, and know that you are at the best of what you could be, and things will get better. And that's how I lived all these years of my life, that I thought things will be better. One day, everything will be okay. And I just stayed positive. Yeah.
One of the lessons you get from the researchers who study resilience is the importance of rejecting permanence. Rejecting permanence. So when things are truly awful, right, you're not going to be in the hospital forever. You're going to regain your memory. You know, for people who, when you have a death, and I know so many people in the audience have, it doesn't go away, and everyone grieves in their own time, in their own way. But I sit here knowing that my worst of my days now are better than the best of my days right afterwards. Because time doesn't heal everything, time doesn't heal completely, but time does heal. Adam and I have talked a lot about how we want the help others section of bookstores. And one of the things I learned was the importance of doing something specific. So one of the other mistakes I used to make is that when someone was going through something hard in my life, I would offer to, is there anything I can do? That's a very common thing to say, is there anything I can do? And I meant it kindly, but the problem was when I was on the other side of that question, I didn't really know how to answer. Well, can you make Father's Day go away so I don't have to live through it? And that question kind of shifts the burden to the person who's in need to answer the question. And so rather than offer to do anything, do something, even if it's imperfect. My dear friend Dan and Esther Levy, they lost a child very tragically, and they were in the hospital in California for months. And one of his friends texted and from the lobby of the hospital and said she was downstairs in the hospital lobby for a hug for the next hour, whether he came down or not. She just showed up. And then a friend of mine read that story in our book. And she had a friend, not a close friend, who went to the hospital with her daughter. Her 4-year-old daughter had leukemia. And she said before she read the story in option B, she never would have invaded their space and shown up at a hospital. It's not her best friend. Who is she to show up? But she read the story in the book. So she went to the toy store. She bought a stuffed giraffe. She went to the lobby of the hospital. She texted, I'm here with a toy. I could just send it up. And the woman right away said, please come up. So she went upstairs, and the 4-year-old opened the toy, and the mother is standing behind her just crying, mouthing the words, thank you for being here. And the whole hour she was there, no one else came. I think we're too often afraid to say the wrong thing, or at least I was, so we don't say anything. We're too often afraid to do the wrong thing, so we ask open-ended questions, what can I do, and don't do anything. Show up. Show up. Text someone from the lobby of a hospital, and it doesn't have to be your best friend from the first grade, because we don't have enough of those. And show up, and I think this will make just an enormous difference. And one of the nicest things about writing this book has been the stories that are pouring in, both on the Option B community on Facebook, but also just in the reviews and the letters to me and Adam about all the ways people are showing up more. And I'm so grateful to my friends who showed up, because I learned this, from Ariana kept trying to visit me after Dave died, and I kept saying no, and a few weeks in, she showed up and said, I'm here with my suitcase. And it was the thing I needed. I needed her so badly, but I didn't know how to invite her into this house that was just a lot of crying all the time, and she showed up and helped carry me. And I think we can do a better job doing that for each other.
That does mean, though, that, yeah. I think one of the wrinkles there is that we have to be willing to accept the help that other people offer. And I'm just going to say to everybody in this room, Sheryl is the worst person at accepting help that I know. She's used to being the giver in every relationship. And I remember she would call like a few weeks after Dave passed away to talk, and she would open the call by saying, I'm sorry, not even hello. And at first I was like, who is this? And then I realized that that's the Sheryl Sandberg greeting, is I'm sorry. And eventually I just said, look, you have to stop saying you're sorry. Because if you do not let your friends be there for you, then you're not going to recover, and that means your kids will not recover. And so I banned the word sorry. And Sheryl calls the next day and she says, I apologize. No, that doesn't count either.